In the year 193 AD, the Roman Empire, the most powerful nation on Earth, put its own throne up for sale. Highest bidder wins, no returns. Seller reserves the right to murder you later. This actually happened. Let's watch it happen. First, some context, because this gets so much dumber if you understand what Rome was supposed to be. By 193 AD, Rome had been the dominant power in the Mediterranean world for over 2 centuries. It had roads connecting 3 continents, an economy larger than anything else on Earth, and an army considered unbeatable. On paper, this was the single most stable, most powerful institution that had ever existed. Keep that in mind, because we're about to watch it get treated like a garage sale. Meet Pertinax, Rome's newest emperor, 3 months into the job. His predecessor was a chaos gremlin named Commodus, the same Commodus, if the name rings a bell, who liked to fight in the arena dressed as a gladiator, believed he was the reincarnation of Hercules, and had recently been strangled in his bath by his own wrestling partner after a plot involving his mistress and half his inner circle. So Commodus was not exactly a hard act to follow. The Senate picked Pertinax, a sensible, boring reformer, a career military man with a reputation for discipline, hoping for some peace and quiet after over a decade of chaos. His big idea? Cut spending. Rome's treasury had been drained by Commodus's excesses, so Pertinax started trimming the budget wherever he could, including the enormous cash bonuses Rome traditionally paid its own bodyguards, the Praetorian Guard, whenever a new emperor showed up. It was basically tradition at this point. New emperor, new bonus, everybody's happy. Pertinax looked at that tradition and said, actually, no. Reminder, these bodyguards are armed and extremely used to getting paid. The Praetorian Guard had one job: protect the emperor. They also had one hobby: deciding who got to be emperor, usually by force. This wasn't new behavior. The Guard had been meddling in imperial succession for over a century by this point, and they developed a very simple worldview. Whoever pays us, we protect. Whoever doesn't, we don't. Pertinax cutting their bonus was, to them, basically a declaration of war. So on March 28th, a mob of guards stormed the palace. Pertinax reportedly tried to talk them down. Calm, reasonable speech, the whole thing. Standing his ground, appealing to duty and tradition, trying to remind armed men holding grudges about money that he was, technically, their boss. Didn't work. Reign of Pertinax, 87 days. Shortest reign Rome had seen in a while, and it was about to get company for that title. Rome now has 0 emperors and a very awkward vacancy. Here's where it gets insane. Instead of just picking a new emperor, the normal, if often bloody way this usually went, the Praetorian Guard decided to auction the job. Literally stood on the walls of their camp and announced, whoever pays us the most gets the throne. Not a coronation, not a coup with a chosen candidate, an open bidding process conducted in public for the single most powerful office on the planet. 2 men showed up to bid. One of them was already inside the city, and one had to be talked into it by his own wife. In one corner, Sulpicianus, the previous emperor's father-in-law, a respected senator already negotiating from inside the camp, trying to use his connections and reputation to lock this down quietly. In the other corner, Didius Julianus, a wealthy senator who, according to the story, was having dinner when his wife and daughter convinced him to go outside and just bid on the empire. Not exactly a campaign years in the making, more of a "we heard there's an opening" situation. He shows up. The guards start shouting numbers back and forth between the 2 men over the camp wall, like it's a livestock auction. Bystanders reportedly gathered to watch, because, at this point, why wouldn't you? Back and forth. Higher. Higher. Sulpicianus offers a number. Julianus tops it. Sulpicianus tops that. The guards, thoroughly enjoying themselves, keep relaying each new figure to the other side, driving the price up round after round. Final winning bid? 25,000 sesterces per soldier. Per soldier. Multiply that across the entire Praetorian Guard, several thousand men, and Didius Julianus had just personally promised to pay an amount worth, by some estimates, millions of dollars in today's money to a private army, in cash, that he did not currently have. He'd essentially just signed the largest personal check in Roman history, on the spot, at dinner, on a dare from his own family. The gates open. The guards declare him emperor on the spot. Word got out fast. The Roman public, who did not get a vote in any of this, did not get a say, and frankly did not get a warning, was, understandably, furious. Their new emperor hadn't earned the throne through birthright, military victory, or the Senate's blessing. He'd bought it, in an auction, against another guy's wallet. People reportedly booed him in the streets and threw things at his procession. Great start. Some accounts say crowds openly called for someone, anyone, to come remove him. Rome had had bad emperors before, but there was something uniquely humiliating about purchased at auction as your origin story. Here's the part Didius Julianus didn't plan for. Word of the auction reached Rome's frontier armies, huge, battle-hardened legions stationed on the empire's borders, the actual fighting force that kept Rome's enemies out. And they were not about to accept some rich guy won a bidding war back home as a legitimate reason to be emperor. These were soldiers who'd spent years on campaign, and the idea that the throne had just been sold to the highest bidder while they were off defending the empire did not sit well. 3 different border generals independently decided, nope, not this guy, and each declared himself emperor instead. Within weeks, Rome technically had 4 separate men all claiming the title at once. One of them, a general named Septimius Severus, commanding the legions in the Danube region, was closest to Rome, and he had an actual army behind him, not a bribed one, a loyal one, battle-tested and marching in his direction with him at the front. Severus marched on Rome. The same Praetorian Guard who'd auctioned off the throne 66 days earlier took one look at an actual professional army arriving at the gates and did what any sensible mercenary does when the money runs out and the muscle shows up. They folded immediately. They surrendered, handed Didius Julianus over without a fight. He was executed in the palace, alone, having ruled for just over 2 months, having personally purchased the single shortest and most regretted receipt in Roman history. Severus, for what it's worth, went on to found his own dynasty and ruled for nearly 2 decades, proof that in Rome, the throne wasn't actually for sale. It just needed to be taken by whoever showed up with an army instead of a checkbook. So let's recap. An emperor tried to save money, got murdered for it. His own bodyguards then sold his job to the highest bidder like a foreclosed house. The winner got dragged through the streets, hated by everyone, and was dead within 66 days. Because it turns out, an empire isn't actually for sale. It's just temporarily unguarded. Anyway, next time you think money can buy anything, ask Didius Julianus how the receipt worked out.